distribute based off of whatever issues. But then I heard there was a power outage, over in New Albany down 62. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it.
Who knows?
Are we good to go?
We're good to go.
Reliability was better in the 50s.
Jim, your screen is intentionally blank, I assume, yes?
No, it's
No.
You mean my video or my screen?
You look like you're broadcasting from a closet. We can't see your screen. You're sharing your screen. We can see that, but your personal self, it just says Jim Leonard now.
You have your video off, Jim.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Unless
I'm
you
still here. I'm not a cat, Judge. I'm not a cat, Judge.
That's funny. Well, are we? Oh, there you are.
Yeah, there you are.
You look like you're like a radio DJ
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. It's like
morning.
Rush Limbaugh.
The afternoon ride home with Jim.
Yeah. That's my other camera, so I don't know.
He does it all.
Are we good to get going?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're good.
Is Dana still on here?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We will. Are we recording?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We'll go ahead and call to order the Special Finance Committee meeting for Wednesday, May 26th. All are present. Cheryl is here. Chip is here. Chief, Dana, Teresa, and Jim as well. And we'll go ahead and police officer appropriations and move this over to Dana and Chief.
So Dana, if it's okay, I guess I'll go first. I guess a lot of the technical finance questions are going to be on your end anyhow, and they'll probably have that afterwards. So first off, thank you for meeting on such short notice. I really appreciate everybody's time today. This came to fruition because I had approached Mr. Leonard and said that we're pretty shorthanded, and recently I conducted officer interviews for new officers, and there were two very good candidates, and I would like to hire both of those candidates. This also comes in the midst of one of my employees not being able to work for the next 4 weeks due to emergency circumstances. Both interviews were excellent. I think that they would make very good police officers for the village of Johnstown, and I can see them growing with us. I will say that we are very shorthanded as a police organization. We run very lean interviews for new officers, and there were two very good candidates, and I would like to hire. I guess that's working. But anyhow, we run very lean as an organization, and it's my long-term goal to make it where we have a minimum of 12 officers per shift. We truly need to have 2 officers working at all times within the village of Johnstown, because it is my expectation, and I'm sure the expectation in the community, that we handle the priority calls. And I'm going to name some of those off. Accidents, injury accidents, plane crashes, simple assault, aggravated assault, felonious assault, assist other units, burglary, burglary in progress, burglary alarms, breaking and entering, tampering with coin machines, possession of criminal tools, forgery, counterfeiting, embezzlement, warrant, any kind of death call, domestics, active domestics, child abuse, child endangerment, interfering with custody, drowning, drunks, drunk drivers, flights, emergency runs, fires, homicides, aggravated homicide, negligent homicide, voluntary manslaughter, involuntary manslaughter, grand theft, passing bad checks, resealing stolen property, missing runaway individuals, a man with a gun, a man with a knife, resisting arrest, I can't spit that word. Prowlers, thank you. Rape, attempted rape, sexual imposition, gross sexual imposition, incest, indecent exposure, prostitution, robbery, robbery in progress, aggravated robbery, shooting, officer checkups, stabbing, cutting, civil defense alerts, stolen vehicles, suicide, suicide attempt, suspicious person, suspicious vehicle, jail escape, bomb threats, explosive, drugs, drug sales, making narcotics, possession of narcotics, harvesting marijuana, overdose, general disturbances, criminal trespassing, menacing, and obscene calls. As you can tell, we handle a significant amount of service calls within the community. We have seen some of those in this community within the last year. And I do want the officers to run a minimum of 2 when they're handling those calls. Currently, we're not. We're just sending to 1 officer at times to a lot of those service calls. And we owe it to the community. We also owe it to the officers to make sure that they're protected. I think that the time is right. It's right to have this conversation about expanding the police department and the personnel within the police department. I think that for the first time in a very long time, us as an organization of the police department is we're no longer a stepping stone organization. We are now an organization that individuals are looking at and wanting to spend a career here. When we lose somebody, it's inherently expensive. And I know that I've echoed this in the past, but one thing that I've never really echoed is the value of losing somebody that's been here for 10 years and the relationships that they've built within the community. You cannot replace those relationships. There's not a cost associated with it. But as I stand with you here before you today, we are trending in a direction where people are interested in this organization and interested in creating a career within this organization. We're the 15th safest city in the state of Ohio. Police services absolutely matter. It matters on how much officers are seen in the street. So when I tell you in village council meetings and my director reports that if out of 24 hours, if I only have 1 officer working, that officer is only seen 12 hours. And then the other 12 hours, there's no officer patrolling through that community at all. That will have a significant impact on that 15th safest city. People want to see officers in the community. So with that said, I've come up with this memo that you see right in front of you. And this is exactly what we'd be looking at. And it's the meat and potatoes of what we're looking at. In order to create a new position, I would have to have additional funds for uniforms, firearms, and less than lethal devices. That comes up to $6,500. And then I'd need to come up with a half-year salary to pay for that individual. Now, with that said, I've also saved a half year in salaries because I am shorthanded. So if I were to hire 2 as opposed to the 1 that I'm already allocated to have, it would be pretty much a wash, other than I would need to come up with the $6,500. With that said, there's going to be that annual occurrence of that new employee that's going to happen for year after year. Some other items that I wanted to consider were office workspace. It's not going to matter. We do have the space and we do have the workstation for the officer. Patrol vehicles will also not be an issue because we do have a new patrol vehicle on order. Whenever we get that, it will be able to have both of those officers in there. And then I would think roughly there will be a slight increase in fuel expenditure with that officer putting more miles on vehicles and more time in the community.
Chief, could you just update us? How many officers, not including you, do we have right now?
So if we do not include me, we have 7.
Okay.
So this would bring us up to 10.
Including me would be 10.
Well, you said you have 2 candidates.
I do have 2 candidates. So one I'm already budgeted to, and that person has already received a conditional offer of employment from me. I'm just waiting for his polygraph to come back favorable. If his polygraph does come back favorable, then he'll be onboarded, and at that point he'll give his notice and start with us. The other candidate was also a very good candidate. It was a very difficult decision as to pick one over the other, and that's really why I'm here today, is because I think that we have the money. I think that as we're moving forward, we can use the extra help at the police department, and the community will benefit from it.
Okay. I know for me, and just looking at the finances, I asked Dana, currently after the last round of additional expenditures that we appropriated with legal funds and sidewalk, general fund projected balance is about 65,100 or so at the moment. So moving forward with this would put us at a carryover balance at 19.5. Excuse me. That put us at a carryover balance of 19.5 in the general fund. at the moment. I think some of the things to consider though is that projected balance is assuming a flat relative to last year, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right, Dana? And we've seen an increase in revenue this year already, as expected, as things continue to come online. We continue to see people move into the community, which continues to reinforce Chief's need for additional officers as well. So that cycle continues. But it also brings in additional revenue and income tax to the village to be able to utilize to support stuff like this. So with the respect of where we want to be and where we are, I think we can afford it. I think we can afford it now. It's a half-year expense, to Chief's point, 6 months already at this point. Gives us a little bit lighter of a balance, but I feel confident that we're under projecting what our revenues are going to be, in my opinion. So, to me, the benefit outweighs anything else. I think we can afford it.
Well, that's one officer, we need to afford it. Well, I also believe that we are short. And I like the idea that we always have 2 officers on at hand. One is, it's not safe for the officer. So I'm fine with it.
I agree with my 2 colleagues here. I think it's good to have 2 officers. I'd like us to do that, and I fully support doing this. And I think we have the finances to do it. Now is probably a good time. I think we'll see those revenues increase and continue to increase. I had 2 people tell me that business owners, that Saturday was their biggest day they've ever had, and Amy and Tiffany both told me that Saturday they set records. I was at Ghost Rider this afternoon. Every table was full at lunch. And that was up until I left at 2:00, and they were still full. So I think the revenues will continue to come in. And I think we should go ahead and do this.
I'll go ahead and make the motion to move forward with this hire with the data that we have here, and have an ordinance prepared for next council meeting to move forward on this.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Chief, for bringing this up.
Thank you, committee members. I really appreciate it. And that's going to bring me to my next topic for discussion is once you have them, I don't want to lose them to anybody else. So to be
No, we don't want that to happen.
right, they're already in background processes with other organizations. So luckily, I was able to offer the one, and he declined 2 offers rather to come to the Johnstown Police Department. But it's going to be the same with this other candidate. So the sooner I can offer him a position, the more favorable it's going to be for us.
Well, I don't know. Do we have to wait till Tuesday night?
No, can I jump in on that one?
Sure.
Yeah, so obviously, I know Dana likes to kind of maybe wait till October, November to kind of do a cleanup budget amendment, to not having to do multiple budget amendments over the course of the fiscal year. So I would be comfortable, and I told Chief this, if we get a favorable recommendation from the Finance Committee, that we go ahead and offer this other candidate the job, because I'm confident in what you guys put forth. We'll get one more vote when it comes to having a budget amendment. So my plan would go forward is we wouldn't introduce an ordinance today or tomorrow or whatever, but we do have the understanding come October, November, when Dana does the cleanup, that we've had this conversation.
That's fine.
Ben, you look perplexed. Is that okay or not?
I understand where you're going with it. It's difficult because I like to see the finances in real time. I don't think we're going to have an issue with bringing this up in front of council.
And that's fine. No problem.
I really don't. I mean, you've got 3 members of finance. I don't think, to that end, I don't think we need to wait to offer if it's a matter of now.
Yeah, and that's what precipitated the conversation between me and Chief was he came to me and said, "Hey, I actually got 2 candidates. I only have budget for one, and here we are today. So if you guys are okay with going ahead and hiring, we'll have the budget appropriation then on the 1st."
That would be my comfortability level, just because I don't want us to get in a position to where we, double spend money. Just
Sure, that makes sense.
if something was out there. To your point, we do the cleanup resolution, the cleanup ordinance later in the year. But I don't, as long as this committee, which unanimously just passed 3-0, continues to stand behind the recommendation, I don't think there's going to be any issue with finding a 4th vote at the very
I
least
agree.
on Tuesday. Or
Okay.
if we feel like we need to pass it by emergency, if it's the matter of public safety, I'd have to give that some thought, but if we can run it through 2 as normal, that'd be preferable, but I'll leave that up to you guys. I don't know. I don't think you need to put it out as an emergency though. But again, I don't think there's going to be any pushback.
Okay. So, Chief, you and I'll and Dana get together tomorrow. Actually, I won't be in tomorrow, so go ahead and offer the conditional offer as you see fit, Chief, and then Dana will prepare the ordinance going forward.
Okay, sounds good. Again,
Wonderful.
thank you so much for your time this evening. I know everybody's time is very valuable. So thank you. It means a lot to me, but it means so much more to my officers. It really does.
Good looking out for the community and good keeping that top of mind and the timing and everything, Chief. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
One item for other business while we're all here, since Dana did bring it up in an email a couple days ago about the Rita Subpoena program. I figured since we're all here, if we want to give a response back. Chip and Cheryl, did you guys see that email?
Yeah,
Yes.
Is there any objection to moving forward with that?
No.
No, go forward.
Go for it.
We'll
Okay,
just,
will do. Thank you.
I mean, I filed on a Monday, and by Tuesday, Rita had already taken my money, so they're very good.
right. Well, that gives us an answer to that thing moving already. That's it. That's all I had. And any other business? All right, I'll make a motion to adjourn.